thing, man. That's what I
Now
do.
that he had a chance to finish the question, the statement, which would probably lead to a question. Listen, let's keep listening. But that when you're talking to somebody like this, you know, they have prefabricated answers. And so you have to actually challenge them on what they say. Don't give them a chance. Say, hey, no, let me finish answering the question. Because listen to what, and he's occupying the space. Interviews only last so long, right? And this is something, I want you to pay attention to what's happening here.
And you will say, well, if you can't find a good woman in America, there's plenty in Africa.
Absolutely.
So why not teach that same rhetoric to our women? Like, if you, if you feel
I tell sisters all the time, go to Africa. So I know sisters who marry. I just spoke with her sister. She invited me to the wedding. She just married a brother from the continent.
So, but instead of saying they will never get married, I'll take
sisters to Africa.
All right. So here's the brother. The brother was trying to bring up the point of saying, you just said black women will never get married because there's not enough good black men around. But Africa is full of, where my African brother? Africa is full of black men. So why don't you tell them to go to Africa? See, Dr. Umar Johnson, but here's the problem with that. African men, and we've seen somebody type passport bros in the chat room, and we've seen passport broads failing overseas. They're failing in the Dominican Republic miserably. And they're failing in Africa miserably because the cultures are different. Because those African men and those Dominican men are patriarchal, largely because they look up and they look at the leadership and they're like, the men run things in this country. I'm a man, so I run things in my household. It's not popular for him to tell black women to go overseas and get them an African brother. Why? Because black women are like, no, I don't want one of them Africans. Those Africans are going to put too much restrictions on you. Those Africans, that's not something that every black woman wants to deal with. So he can't sue that. That's not popular. But notice the brother never even got a chance to fully ask the question related to his previous statement before he starts saying, you say don't marry out of the race. Yeah, I don't say don't marry out of the race. Okay, cool. Okay, well, you tell black men not to marry out of the race. All right, got it. But what about telling black women if they want a black man to go overseas? The brother never got a chance to finish the question before he was cut off. Let's keep listening.
Who married brothers they met in Africa.
Right.
So yeah,
I think there's plenty. I think there's obviously plenty of black men and black women.
So and what I also tell black women, if you're going to go get you an African man from the continent,
right,
you're going to have to understand that the way in which you talk to black men in America will not be tolerated over there.
Now, I want you to pay attention to this. He's basically acknowledging the fact that black women in America talk to black men crazy as hell to the point that it's out of line. Okay, I want just notice that. He said, look, I want you to go get an African man, but the way you talk to these black men here in America, it's not going to fly over there. It won't be tolerated. Do you hear that? So even in his statement, he acknowledges that black women are disrespectful, rude, belittling, and emasculatory when it comes to black men in America. He acknowledged that. If you listen, he acknowledges that. But that's never addressed. I want you to hear his response when the brothers say, that shit ain't tolerated here either. Listen to this.
But it's not tolerated here. That's what we're trying to tell them.
Well, over here, I want to say this to us, though. Because we try to act like the way sisters treat us doesn't have a history that we are not at least partly responsible for. Let's be honest.
Do you hear that bullshit? I want you to hear what he just said. Basically, I tell brothers over here that we are partly responsible for them disrespecting us and emasculating us in public. Now, if you go to Africa, you can't talk to them like that. But over here, they can talk to you all out the side of their mouth and crazy as hell because you're responsible for it. In other words, you being a victim of this disrespect is your fault. Do you hear this? Double talk. I want you to listen to that. Just think about that. Just think about that. That's like telling somebody who was you responsible for this ass whooping you receiving, even though this person ain't gonna whoop the person ass around the corner. All right? But your ass, we can whoop your ass. So what does that tell you about his thoughts about Black American men? It says that he sees you as a whipping mule. It says that he sees you as worthy as not worthy of respect. So what does that say about himself? Mind you, this is a man who was messing around with some woman who caused him to lose his whole shit. A low-class woman. What does that say about himself? If you talking about Black American men deserve to be talked down to and put down, and you're a Black American man, what does that say about you and how you feel about yourself? But to the greater point, why should I subject myself, knowing somebody's going to disrespect me, solely for me being in America and being a Black American man? Why would I stay here for that? No self-respecting man, no self-respecting Black man is going to say, hey, I deserve to be disrespected, but if I move across the street, nobody can disrespect me. I can speak up for myself if I move across the street. We all moving. But listen to the logic of this brother. Let's keep listening.
Honest. The Black woman has had to hold down the Black house by herself, although imperfectly. She's had to do it by herself since the mass incarceration of Black males began in the 1970s.
All right. Let's listen to that conclusion. Now, those of you guys who know blackdemographics.com, go look at the studies. Black men were married after slavery ended. Black men walked all around the South to find their women. We walked around the South. We reunited with our families. From 1865 to about 1965, 100 years, we have productive societies. Look at all the Black communities that were built up, thousands of Black towns around the country. From 1865 to 1965. What happened in 1965? What happened in 1965? The brothers start talking about mass incarceration. Before we get to that, let's talk about in 1965, because he said around the 1970s is when mass incarceration happened. In 1965, we were the most married group. We had like an 80% marriage rate. Most children were born in marriage. So the Black man hadn't gone anywhere. But at that same time period, you had a generation of people who were experimenting with free sex and all this sort of stuff. The government and the Great Society, LBJ, came up with these programs and said, hey, you don't need that Black empowerment. Come on over here, white woman, Black woman. We know how you are here. Come on, we got some cheddar for you. We got some crumbs for you. They offered this to all the different women. But for some reason, the Hispanic woman and these other women, they took the food stamps in the Section 8. The white woman took the food stamps in the Section 8. It's more white people on welfare than Black people. There's more white people in this country. Nevertheless, they accepted that. And they say, hell, I don't need this social contract with this Black man anymore. I can breach this social contract. Because the white man is offering me the same benefits, except I don't have to be controlled by this Black man. Yeah, the white social worker might come visit my house and make sure I'm taking care of these kids, but as long as ain't no man in the house, I'm good. And at least I don't have to deal with that every day. This Black man telling me to get up, cook, clean, not how to dress, where to go. So the Black woman opted for what the government offered because she didn't no longer want to be under the authority or control of the Black man. She didn't want to even share authority with the Black man in the house. They made a conscious decision. It's human nature, Mr. Doctor of Psychology. They opted out of the social contract. They breached it. They breached the social contract. So marriage rates went down. Black boys start being raised in households full of women. When you start talking about the incarceration rate, it didn't just happen for no reason. It happened because there's a higher propensity. 70% of the young men in prison right now come from single mother households. So do you see the correlation? These lovely ladies breached the contract and said, I can do it on my own. Next thing you know, you got a generation of young boys raised by women who have no control of their emotions, who are prone to violence, who haven't been checked, who don't respect authority, and they end up in prison. You see the correlation? So you have to ask yourself, well, who's responsible for this breakup of the black family? The black woman didn't see incentive to be married to the black man anymore when she could get the same things from the government. Why aren't we talking about that?
DennisSpurling got the mic on fire.
Black father, I have black son.
Tune in, weekly feeling inspired. From the heart, real talk ignite. Every episode brings a light. Subscribe, hit the like, won't you dare. Share the love, you know it's family. Join us every week, don't be late. Drop some coins in the collection plate. Drop some coins, enjoy the ride. Come say hi, catch the wave, don't pass by. Lifted spirits always in sight. In this podcast, joy takes flight. Subscribe, hit the like, won't you dare. Share the love, you know it's fair. Join us every week, don't be late. Drop some coins in the collection plate. Drop some coins.
Donation. I thought it was a trap.
Hey man, I'll do what I do.
You know that.
Your ass, class, don't come over here. Now, you tall black women up inside. I don't give a fuck about